and nice to see the rest of you guys' faces. So, hey, Tiami. Cool. So week 3. So this is, wait, is this hump week or? I don't know, we have 6 weeks. So technically the last week is our graduation ceremony, but we're a little coming up on halfway through our course. And I just want to thank you guys for just fully participating and staying in with some of the lectures, which may or may not have been completely applicable to you. We realize that we probably could and should and will in the future edit some of those, you know, the corporate legal structures that is very unlikely, unless you all are going to take over the world, that you would be interested in a C Corp or subsidiaries, something like that. So we really welcome any feedback that you guys have. Again, this is like a test program for us that will replicate in cohorts of 12 to 15 moving forward, which, by the way, we are offering a course that starts right after this one. So that, like, the week after this one, it starts on the Thursday, the 29th. Is that right, John and Hannah? The 29th. So, and it's for the same family home providers who are interested in improving their business. It's free. It'll be the same number of weeks. We'll probably, you know, change a few things up, but basically kind of the same structure. So if you guys know of anybody that you think might benefit from this, shoot those names over to Sue and Nicole or Dawn, and then we can get them registered. So it's really a valuable program, and I think as we move forward, we're going to be tailoring more, especially the financials, to you guys as individual businesses. To that end, we want to make sure everybody knows how easy and available our consultants are. As we've started taking some input from you guys about what you're struggling with and what your particular goals are, we're realizing that they're so individualized that we really would love for you guys to hook up with a consultant where we can take a look at your rate structure, your revenues, your model, and most importantly, your vision and your goals, so that you're walking away from the course feeling like you've got some customized, individualized attention and a plan. So at the end of tonight, Hannah's gonna show you guys, walk you through how to make an appointment with Dawn or Lauren or any of our consultants, or myself or John or Hannah. Like, we're all available to work with you one-on-one and take a look and just answer any questions that you have. So anything else housekeeping wise you guys can think of? We're going to do a quick little fun breakout session group. Anything else? Sue, is there anything ECPAC wise? I don't know where you went. Where are you? Oh, yeah. So
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm just eating my husband just brought me a brat, and I didn't want to have to share the look with all of you.
Brat night.
Actually, a new grant came out to all of you guys today, and I think Dawn is going to talk about that in her presentation. So just an FYI on that. There's also a survey that we're trying to get out to parents. It's called the Pulse Survey. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that with parents, it's really has a lot to do with how much funding we get here in Adams County to help all of you and also help families. So every time we send those out, it's not because we really want to know all this, or we don't even want to burden you with any of those, but if you guys could fill those out and send them out to your families, it's very helpful for our county to get more help with everything. So I guess that's all I have. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. And yeah, Dawn's going to go over that, and we'll talk about some resources to help you guys with grant applications, because that also came through. Like, when am I going to have time to do this? So we want to share some resources with you on that. So tonight is super fun. We're looking at, if you remember the bucket, we're looking at the water that you're going to be pouring into the bucket, which is your revenues, the revenue side of an income statement. So this is all about the money that you're making, the money that you want to make, and the resources that you're pouring into your business. Because again, we want you guys to be earning as much as you can within your own values and principles, and making sure that you're plugging those leaks and maximizing every opportunity that you have, including grants and subsidies like CCAP and the food program, and that you're not leaving anything on the table without taxing yourself too much, because that's a resource too, you know, is your stamina and your ability to take on more kiddos or more paperwork, right? So we're going to break out into groups. It's just going to be a quick one because Dawn's got a great presentation tonight, but we're going to take just, we'll just say like 7 minutes in a group. And I just want you all to pause it, just to think about, what would you do if next year in 2021, your business experienced a big uptick in revenues? Whatever your goal is, maybe it's doubling your revenues. What would you do with those additional monies? And not knowing is fine, but I actually want us to share a little bit about with how that actually feels to all of a sudden be making more money and making more revenues. So John, and we're gonna pop in, Dawn and Hannah and John and I are gonna pop into the groups and just chat for a bit. So John, can you do the breakout magic?
We'll do it. And they're somewhat random this time, so you might be with new people.
Okay, cool. Linda, I love your mural. Is that a mural behind you? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
My grandma painted a tree, and then we used tissue paper and made flowers and stuck them on the wall with tape. So we need to change our leaves back to fall colors now.
Oh, I love it. Yay.
Thanks.
Cool. So how many people are going to Acapulco with their money? Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm not going to share what our group wants to do, because what stays in our small groups, what's said there stays there. But
Nobody knows which group I was in. I'm proud of them. They were planning to save their money. They had savings plans.
Wow, that's cool. That's good.
Yes.
Awesome. Is everybody back? Yeah, okay. And you guys, the reason that we're doing this is sometimes, you know, it's important to just notice what comes up for us when we look at potentially raising rates or making more money. You know, this ability to receive and keep it in balance with what you're giving out is one of those self-care pieces. But, you know, a lot of, especially those in caregiving professions, you know, kind of have some challenges with being able to balance giving care and receiving money, which is just currency, right? So we really want to support you all in stretching, going to that comfort zone of having this, of the financial abundance that you guys are worth. So anyway, thank you for, thanks for that exercise. And I think, Dawn, we're gonna turn it over to you. And yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do this then. So I'm used to talking from slides and that sort of thing, so I'm going to refer to notes and all of that, but I'm really excited to talk to you guys about revenue tonight. as providers, it's always a good idea to think about the different parts, the different inflow of income. Is there another way to maximize that? We're going to talk through all of our options on that. The really amazing part about having a business is that you guys are so used to everyone telling you exactly how to do everything, right? You're used to licensing telling you follow these specific rules. Coaches, no offense, Sue, coaches are going to come and tell you like the most current data for brain research and the best ways to do things, right? They're helping in all of those areas. And so everything is always very much centered around you guys receiving information. And so it's very easy to just be used to like, tell me what you want and I'll go do it, right? We all kind of settle into that mode. Remember, I was a home provider. I was there too. I get it. But the wonderful thing about being a business is you guys get to tap into a creative side of yourself, right? You get to really look at what you're offering. And if you don't like something about it, you can change it. And so I really just want to encourage you to think about the model that you're operating under. We're going to talk a lot about finances tonight, but I have to tell you, like, it's not all about finances, right? There are other things in your business that balance out your life and your home and your world. So you really need to figure out what that balance is for you. We're going to look at the ways to maximize revenue if that's what you want to be doing. But I do know that that's not always the goal for every person. I also want to share with you, I am actually starting a business myself right now. So we're all kind of in the same boat. So I just submitted a license last week to start a sub-care and staffing agency for childcare homes and centers and every kind of licensed program. And potentially some in-home care as well. And so we're all like, so I'm doing the same thing in terms of like building something new and being creative around that and stuff. And so I just wanted to let you know, like, that's really what got me focused on the excitement side of this for you guys. Like, because I love waking up in the morning and starting my day out and then thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, how do we address this issue and make it efficient and effective and serve people well and all of that. So you guys get the opportunity. We'll do a little bit of that together. So, okay, so we're going to do some polls tonight. I don't know if you guys have ever done those on Zoom before, but we're going to do some polls. Let's see here. And so how do I? Okay, so the choice is yours as far as the business. You get to pick your direction, whatever you want to do. And the nice thing is, you don't have to stay where you end up, right? If you get somewhere and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, then you can change course again. That's completely within your control. And I do know that, like, a lot of times fear is something that kind of hinders a business model, right? Afraid to let go of a family because you're worried you won't get another family, all of these sorts of things. So, so I just challenge you to think about, without the fear, like if you can set the fear aside, what are the things that you want to change or improve in your business for you? So tonight, let's see here. Okay, first, let's see, Hannah, I'm not seeing a poll. Let's see, maybe if I go here.
I can launch them for you if you want me to go into the first poll.
If you could do the first one, that'd be great.
Yes, here it comes.
Oh, perfect. So tell us about your business and what you think. So just select whichever one and then hit submit, and we'll kind of share what everyone has to say about their business. It's perfect the way it is. I love it. I need to change some, but I'm not sure what or how. I would like to change the model or increase capacity, or I'm fried, I need something new. So if you'll pick, and then we'll close out of that. We'll see what the results are of that. What do you think? It gave me a box. I didn't pick one.
Let's see. Yeah, we have 11 responses. Do we have 11 students with us this week?
I think so.
Okay.
It was pretty close there. So
That might be everyone then. So pretty evenly split. I think if I end this, we can see some results.
okay.
But just in case, I don't want to lose this. So 6-4, I'd like to change the model or increase capacity. 5-4, I need to change some, but I'm not sure what or how. Oh, share results.
There we go.
Great.
So no one's perfect and no one's fried. So there's the good news, right? We're all open to change, having that open mindset about your business and looking for ways, like what are good ways for me to change it. So tonight's exciting because we're going to get a look at some options for you to consider, some things to think about. Sources of revenue that will cover your rates, your time, space, percentage, and enrollment, grants, federal and state programs, so those are the subsidies, and then quality rating and credentials. So we'll talk about all of that tonight. So we've got a lot to do here. So when it comes to your rates, you want to have the, let's see here. Oh, we got another poll. Let's do another quick poll.
Yes.
So with your rates, where do you find that your rates fell? So when you did your homework this past week, are your rates on the low end and you're good with that? Your rates are right in the middle, your rates are on the high end, or you're not sure? Are we almost there? Pretty close.
Getting close. Yeah, I might be missing just one more. Great. I think that's everyone.
Okay. So half of you are not sure. So we'll talk about that tonight. Let's see, we've got 18% that know that they're on the low end, but good with that. 18% that are on the high end. So we're kind of nice and evenly balanced out here tonight. So, all right, great. So when we talk about rates, we need to look at, you need to always be considering like the benefits for you and your families. Does everyone here get paid in advance or do you get paid after the fact? Everyone's in advance? Okay, good deal. Perfect. Is anyone having any challenging experiences with your families in terms of payment?
I have a challenge with CCAP.
Oh, okay.
I never get paid with CCAP.
Okay, so you're running into a lot of issues with that?
I did 4 years ago, so I quit taking CCAP and I took them again, and I have received probably 3 payments in 9 months.
Whoa.
And now I signed up with is it ESV or something like that? I just got with them because they will bill or somehow take care of CCAP. CCAP now, last week it wouldn't take my password. This week I still haven't heard anything, so I emailed them and I called Jefferson County today, and because I haven't received any payments whatsoever. It's ELV,
Early Learning Ventures, yep.
So I haven't received any payment in September for my CCAP child.
So they're going to get you paid, right? Even if they have to do it just on paper.
They tell me, Dawn. That's what they tell me.
It's so hard to work with systems that are like on a delay for payment, right?
It
Especially
is.
when the rest of your funds are like Monday morning before the week
Yep.
starts, you've got it, right?
Yep.
Honey,
Um,
are you just with Jefferson County for CCAP?
Yeah, I was working with Adams County CCAP. Then she moved to Jefferson County. And so now I'm working with Jefferson County.
Okay.
I was gonna say, usually it's 2 weeks behind, but that's about all. I mean, they'll usually notify us for Adams County right away if we're not getting payments on our Fridays.
Well,
If
I'm
it's-
not able to get into the system, Bree. That's why I'm not getting paid. It's all because of my password, but it say change. We'll send you an email, and I haven't. The whole month I have not got an email, and so I've been calling them every week. I call them.
So you're
APS
going
doesn't
to
give
be
you
able
the-
to get, yeah,
email.
you'll be able to get manual pay. They'll be able to do it on paper if nothing else. Like they're gonna find a way to do that for you. If you need advocates or anything, obviously, Sue, the coaches at ECPAC are great advocates to kind of walk side by side with you on that, right? So that they can kind of advocate in those systems for you. I'm curious to hear, is anyone taking ELV and doing ELV with CCAP? Is that working better for you, or what's your experience?
Yes, it's easier.
Perfect. So there's a ray of light, some hope for you, okay, Penny?
Yay!
That system should simplify everything for you once you can actually get into it and get it working right. And then you'll see like that kind of steady, things will work out much better. I'm gonna be hopeful for you, okay?
I'm hopeful too.
Anyone else that going okay? Any issues like on payment? Everything's okay with your parents, that sort of thing, paying on time?
I just had an issue that I hopefully fixed.
Okay.
I didn't used to take a deposit for their last 2 weeks. And this summer, for the first time in 20 years, I had 2 families leave like abruptly and not pay their last 2 weeks. And I filled the spots right away, so it really doesn't matter other than ethically and morally, and that's the frustrating part. So now I just updated it. Even my current clients have to pay a deposit, and they're not too thrilled about that. So
on your deposit, are they having to pay in full, or are you doing a portion of
I told them I
it?
would do it however it worked for their family. Because honestly, I only take families who I trust and love, so it hurts even worse when they do something like that to me, because we're like a family, so that's the big thing. So I trust in my clients, and I don't think that they would do anything to harm that situation. So I told them I would do, whatever they need. Some people just paid right away, and some people said, hey, our family really can't handle that right now. And I said, we'll make arrangements, but I still have 2 families that are like holding out and haven't made arrangements. So that's the bad part.
Right. When I did that, if they couldn't afford to pay in advance, then I'd let them add a certain amount to each week, and kind of do it gradually that way. And one family, I had this mom, she paid for the first week and she did $25 extra. And then come the next week, I'm chasing her down to get money, right? And she's like, yeah, I'll do it when I get back, when I do pickup. When she comes for pickup, she's trying to like grab the kid and go out the door, and I stop her and I'm like, you owe me for a week of care right now today. You knew this in my contract. We've gone over this. And she goes, well, I really can't pay you till next Friday anyway, because that's payday. And you're out for today anyway. And at that point, this is years ago. And I was like, actually, I'm not, because I collected $25 on top of last week's fee. So we're paid up through today, so have a nice life. And right then and there, she couldn't believe it that I was terminating her on the spot, but I was like, I am not messing around with my finances. So yeah, the deposit will make a difference for you, because that's the hardest lesson in childcare, right? And we always learn it over and over again, that their family always, their stuff always matters more to them than their relationship with you, right? Even the most trusted of families can kind of hurt your heart at times, right? Because they're so focused on their own stuff. And so that's where it's kind of healthy to step back and really think, like you're talking about, what is a good deposit? How do I set up safeguards for myself, for my business, for my family and home? And if you follow those guidelines, that's going to give you a lot of structure and support and take some of the pain of those situations away a little bit. A little bit of the sting, not completely, but a little bit. Okay, so are you guys charging late fees, or are you having to? Maybe.
I haven't.
Okay, good.
I charge $1 a minute per child.
Good. Yeah. So are you having to enforce that very much, or are people pretty much honoring your time right now, or?
No, they already know it's in their handbook, but sometimes they just need that reminder.
Right.
And 90 times out of 10, they'll call me, say I'm running late, and we'll just discuss. I said, okay, well, we'll have to figure out what your late fee will be when you arrive to pick up your students. So then they already know right when they get there that they have a late fee. I do a lot of Venmo right now, so then they pay me right away. However, nobody really carries cash, so I will waive that to the next morning.
Okay.
So, but usually it's only a few dollars, so it's not that big of a deal. Like just for example, last Friday I collected $14. She was 7 minutes late, 2 students. It was super easy to receive. Once they recognize you as a business, you treat it like a business, you talk about it like a business. They don't usually mess around with my fees. Unlike you, I don't beat around with my tuition. So they respect that piece.
Good.
So I don't have a problem with that money. And I do get paid in advance. However, I did stop my deposit. I stopped doing deposits when the economy took a dip. So I should probably put that back into effect.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. No one's having any COVID anxiety financially with their families? Like everyone's happy to pay you when there's no issues there? Or are there? Like who's experiencing some?
I had three families that did not return.
I couldn't hear you.
Did you catch that? I had 3 families that did not return. I had 3 families that did not return for COVID.
Wow.
Out of 12, 3 out of 12. So I filled them again like away. And at that moment, I mean, how normally I do. It's very simple to take them to court if they back out of their 2 weeks written notice and fail to pay. It's very easy. I've done that many times. However, at that point, I mean, that was just uncertainty of the world. So I didn't feel justified of taking them to court at that moment. I mean, it was things out of everybody's control.
It's a pretty
the government
crazy
literally forced them
time.
all to stop working.
Yeah, and it's a crazy time to be a business owner, right? And it's a crazy time to be a parent. And look at all of the schools and the closures and that, we're closed temporarily, or we're closed for 2 weeks, or, we're closed until next semester, whatever. Like all of those things are having these impacts on the families, and the stress level going up, and the tension between programs and families. And yeah, I don't envy you guys for what's happening right now. So have you found anything that's been kind of a magic bullet for you that's been helpful in this circumstance? Nope. Okay. That's okay. We'll keep working, okay?
For me, it was the emergency collaborative.
Huh? What did you say?
For me, what made it COVID was the emergency collaborative.
Yeah.
The emergency collaborative, when they set up the Colorado Emergency Collaborative.
Yep.
If it wasn't for me enrolling those students, I think my business wouldn't have survived.
That did do a pretty incredible thing. They're starting to put some data out about that as well. So I'm sure that ECPAC will keep you guys filled in on that as it comes out. But it really did make a difference for our industry. in sustaining people. I know providers that were like, I was making way more money under the collaborative, which is a good thing considering the cost of supplies and everything else that were going on. So let's see here. So another thing to think about, and I know most programs tend to do their fees in a way that kind of like CCAP does, right? You start high as an infant and then you start decreasing it as they start aging up. I just want you to think about that. You can do that any way you want, but I always set my rate at a certain amount, and I would tell the family, it's going to stay that rate for the duration of time you're in care, and it will never go up and it will never go down. And really, if you average that out, here, let me show you what that kind of does. So, gotta get you guys moved out of my line of sight here so I can see this. So if you do, so this is a tuition models, right? So if you do one version where you're having, let's see here, median income, prices for full time. I'm like, what was I doing here? Let's see. So if you have an infant rate at $225 a week as a toddler, let's see here, can I go? Oops, nope, that didn't do it. Sorry, guys. Okay, so look, if you change your rates so that you've got the infant rate and then drops to a toddler rate, and I thought I was going to do a slide on this so you could see it, so I apologize. You're going to have, let's see here. Okay, so in a year's time, if you're at full enrollment with 6 kids, you're going to make about $67,860. But if you do a set rate at like $220 a week instead, which is a little bit lower than the infant rate was before, right? The $225 was on that first model. So you do $220 a week instead, and you keep it the same all throughout without the decreases and stuff. You end up making, in the end, $780 more in the lifetime of that child in your program before they enter kindergarten. $780 more a year. But what it does is on the low end, and I'm not explaining this very well, so I apologize, but on the low end, when you have the decrease in rates in the first model, you end up in a place where really it's only about $7 cheaper than what that 220 rate would be. And so parents, like, where is the downside for them? Are they going to change care based off of just $7 difference? I mean, that's not likely because that's a lot of hassle for them. Does that make sense? So I want you to think about your rates and really look at how you pay those out and consider that. And I've got some charts here later that I'll show you that talk about that a little bit more. For CCAP, we all know that it's basically at about 75% of the market rate. That's kind of how they set their rates. When Sue told you it's important to fill out surveys, even if you don't want to do it, it is critically important that you do that, because those survey results are what they end up using to determine what those rates should be. So the more information that they can gather, the more likely they are to get it right? And if they can show that an overwhelming number of homes in your area have responded, then they're going to have pretty accurate information to work from, and they can get those rates closer. Okay, so if your rates are off, right, if you're somehow, like, you see the difference between the two models, how one model is kind of burning money and the other is not. So sit down with your rates, and we can do that with you as consultants and kind of look at a comparison between different models if you would like. You can always phase into different changes in your program. You never have to just say, okay, here's the new thing for everyone. We're going this way, right? As you have new kids coming in, you can kind of shift to a different model. I have providers that I've worked with, that's how they end up taking Fridays off, right? They just kind of, as they fill vacant spaces, they stop doing care on whatever day they don't want to do. And then they're doing 4 days of care eventually as everyone kind of phases through. Things like that. Okay, so time, space, percentage. We talked about that a little bit last week. So the key is that you want to make sure your time, space, percentage is accurate, because if you're making, like we were talking about, if you're at that rate of like $67,860, oh, you know what that, yeah. So if you're at that number, and if you're off by as little as even 2% on your time space percentage, that will cause $1,357 of your money to be taxed when it shouldn't have been, right? So you really want to make sure that you're on when it comes to that number. So Tom Copeland talks about the best way to make sure that you don't get audited. The safe number is right around 25 to 30%. Anything above that kind of raises the attention of the IRS, but that doesn't mean that you can't use more, you can't use a greater time space percentage than that. You can if you can justify it. So the way you justify it is to track your information for 2 months out of the year. And you can pick which months you want to do it. If you want to make it a habit that every January and February you're going to do this, or if you want to wait until the school calendar or whatever you want to do, but you write on a calendar all of the hours that you're working with kids in care, and then additional hours for all the cleaning, the shopping, all of the things that you're doing that are specifically for childcare. You need that to fit into your time space percentage. Are you using a part of your garage for storage? Is that garage space, is that factored into your time space percentage? Is the shed in the backyard where you're storing pools and pool noodles and all of the different things, is that being built into your time space percentage?
I was just going to ask that because our shed is mostly used and we bought a new shed just to store a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, you can use all of that. So measure it out, draw it out, right? If you draw it out so that you already have that ready, because if you get an audit, they're going to ask you, right, how do you justify your time and your space? So you draw that out for yourself so that you know exactly what that is. And then here on the work, I show you just exactly how to do those formulas. You guys all have your time space formulas already, right? I'm assuming, but maybe not. No? Okay, so here's the good news. Guess what?
Have a tax lady do ours.
So here's really good news. You guys are going to see later on in our class how to sign up for a consulting session, right? And we're going to walk you through how to do these things, okay? One-on-one, because then you don't have to like show everybody your, your business. But sign up for that this week and we'll walk you through how to do this or anything else that you want to do tonight, okay? We will help you do that successfully. We don't want you have all that money, the water pouring out of the bucket, right? If you're losing 2% or 3% or 4%, you're getting a lot of money taxed that should not be taxed. And that means you're losing a lot of money. You're here we go, right? You're burning money, okay? Stop burning money. Don't give it to the IRS when it belongs in your pocket or in your bank account. Okay. I gotta move you guys over here so I can see. So enrollment, I know that COVID's, Evangelina, were you gonna say something? I saw hands.
Oh, no.
Okay. So I know right now enrollment is challenging, right? Then, does anyone have any solutions that have worked for them in terms of enrollment?
I have been taking part-time kids just to fill slots because I got to have some money is better than no money.
Very cool. Yeah. So are you able to patchwork it together pretty well?
I have been. I used to do that, and then I decided I wasn't going to do that, but then COVID hit. So now I'm doing that again, but I really do not like it.
Okay. Are you charging more for your slots since they're part-time? And
No, and I charge a flat rate by the day instead of the week.
okay.
For infants to, whenever they leave.
Okay, Bria has something to say about that. What do you think?
Yeah, I've had a couple calls, and I don't do part-time, and right now I have 9 kids, so I'm licensed for 12. But when they call for part-time, which has been most of the calls, they
Yeah.
get really frustrated when you tell them, okay, I could do the part-time, but I'm going to charge you the full-time rate, because that is actually taking up a full-time spot, because it is hard to kind of patchwork everything and have a full amount every single day.
Yep.
Right.
So if they want full-time, then, or if they want part-time, then they have to pay full-time.
And Seabree, most of my clients, all but one client, are part-time. And the way it's worked out for all the years that I've done preschool is a lot of times people will want either 2 days or 3 days. And I tell families, I will try to match you up with a family. And if I can't, then you have to pay the full rate. If I can, then you can pay the daily rate. But I have stopped taking new clients because of COVID, because I just don't want to introduce new germs into here, and I can't bring families in to tour. I can't get to know families really well. I trust the families I have now, and I want them here. And quite honestly, I've never had openings for more than a couple days. I've had a waiting list since I opened.
Right.
So can I ask you a challenging question?
Sure.
What if COVID's still here in April?
Then I'm good with it. I'm
Okay.
good with, honestly, my Fridays, I have one child. All the rest are gone. So I'm loving my Fridays right now because I can really focus on my homeschooling with my daughter and the other little girl that I'm homeschooling. So I really enjoy my Fridays. I really enjoy being able to get out and all that stuff on Fridays, or just clean when I need to, when, things like that.
And it's working for you financially right now,
Well,
right?
and that's the thing. Financially, I'm in a hard place because I can't really make more money. Or like I was saying earlier, my kids lose CHP, and then I'm really screwed because their insurance is going to be $800 a month. And so I'm stuck right now. I can't make more money. I don't want to make more money because it's going to cause me to sadly lose that assistance, and then it'll be completely worthless, to work so hard for nothing.
That's called the cliff effect, right? Going off the cliff while you're trying to recover, right? That place, yeah. Okay. So you're kind of in a unique position with all of this.
Yep.
And even without COVID, you're kind of in that position, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Because my city won't let me make more money currently, and I can't make less money, or I'm really going to be in trouble. So it's
Okay, so can I share what I shared?
Sure, that would be wonderful.
So Krista did share in our group that she has to install a fire sprinkler in her basement, and they're looking at, I think she said $38,000 to $50,000, somewhere in that range, to do that in order to get a large license. So that's why she feels like she's kind of stuck in that space that she is at this point. Well, last Friday I was in a legislative meeting, and the great news is that we decided that the one topic we're going to take up legislatively this year is to eliminate the effect of local zoning on childcare homes, on all childcare. So, and instead put it in the hands of licensing. And if you're following the rules for licensing, then you can qualify for that, rather than being dependent on independent fire departments and IBC for zoning and all of those challenges and barriers that you guys run into, right? So
Finally.
Very exciting. And so don't be surprised if Krista's down at the big dome testifying one day, because I already asked her if we could have her do that potentially. So, and you know what? It's a great opportunity for everyone who's had difficulties in that area to stand up and defend the industry, right? And the ironic part is, Krista, you want to tell them who you have for clients?
3 of my clients are local firefighters.
So she's got a zoning office who's fighting her in terms of safety, and you have to be safe and all of this. And 3 of her families are firefighters who would never leave their kids in an unsafe environment. So there you go.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Okay, so if you look, it's an amazing time also for creative apps and stuff, right? There's all kinds of apps that are out there to kind of help with business and that sort of thing. And I'm not advocating for this one. I don't really know anything about it except that it has one program in Colorado that they use, but there's an app called Hopping On that actually, if you love the model of doing part-time care, you can set up a schedule with your families, and then if one of your families can't be there on a given day, they can sell their slots to another person, and they get a little bit of a discount on their rate. They're still paying you, but they get a little bit of a discount by giving up that space to another parent, and then that parent can purchase the space in your program.
What was that app called?
Hopping On. And like I said, I don't know a thing about it. And you can see if there's other competitors out there and that sort of thing. But I just thought, you know, that's a pretty creative model. And if you have a lot of families that you're working with, you could even kind of do that sort of model yourself, right? Between families.
I only do part-time care with an hourly rate. So I'm a little bit different. So
and how's that going, Tammy?
Really good.
Good.
Yeah.
So do you have people drop off frequently, or are they paying, so it's a drop-in rate every time?
It's always an hourly rate.
Okay. Oh, hourly, not daily.
Hourly rate.
Wow.
And it's been working well. I've been doing that for 15 years.
I mean, it's ideal, right, for families, probably?
Can I ask Tammy, what does she advertise then? Like home childcare, or how do you advertise yourself?
Yeah, I still advertise as a family home child care, but I just specialize in flexible rates and daily schedules, or flexible schedules, and with an hourly rate.
Because if you're looking to maximize, right, you're going to be full all the time. So, and Tammy, do you have a bunch of extra people, kind of like, how many clients right now are you serving at various points?
I lost some families too from COVID, and then I haven't tried to really fill those spots until we kind of got school started and found out how it was going to look.
Right.
So, but I have 10 right now.
Okay.
That are in my chat, just, you know, that have all the paperwork in. And I'm still only allowed 6 because I'm in Brighton with Krista and trying to get the large license.
Okay, good deal. So thank you for sharing that. So you see, there are some creative approaches you can take to that. I know when I did drop in, I always charged more for the day instead of like my regular daily rate. You know, if you break out your weekly rate by daily, I always upped that more because probably the reason why you don't like it is because it makes things a little more chaotic and unpredictable, right?
Yeah. Well, so that would be my question. How much, like, did you just go by a percentage, or did you just throw like a $20 bill on top of all that, or how did you come up with that?
So me personally, I threw like a $20 bill on top of it. Yeah. And so it was, because I think I was at that point I was in Denver, so I was at like 35 a day, and then I I did 15 on top of that. I put it at an even 50 is what I did.
Okay.
And so you kind of have to play with some models, and Angela did this incredible worksheet that you guys are going to be able to kind of plug some numbers into and kind of see in an Excel spreadsheet. And so you'll be able to kind of adjust things and kind of say, what if I did whatever? And you can try it out and see what the impact on your revenue would be. So the other question is like expansion. You guys are you have your hands tied by zoning right now. So hopefully in a year's time, the legislature agrees to make this change so that zoning is no longer restricting your ability to run a business the way you want it to. And if that's the case, then you're really looking at the opportunity to expand. And so think creatively about how you want to do that. I also want to say, like, coming up on the ballot, there's Proposition EE, which is the whole tobacco tax thing, right? Vaping tax. Do you guys know what it funds? It funds universal preschool, 10 hours for every 4-year-old in the state of Colorado by June of 2023. So I tell you this because as you're thinking about your business, if you love preschoolers, maybe a preschool model with part-time care, do a preschool session in the morning, preschool session in the afternoon. Like, there are options available to you. And we will make sure that you guys know how to tap into the discussions that are happening about universal preschool, because if this passes in November, Krista's shaking her head. If this passes in November, we have to make sure that everyone in the system is able to tap into those funds if they need to, and into serving those families to maximize parents' ability to place kids where they want to place them, to keep that freedom of choice from undermining your business, right? Because suddenly someone's pulling their kids to put them in a different program for 10 hours a week. Like, so we need people to get involved in those committees and give input and really fight for appropriate structures that work for everyone in the industry. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's see here. Okay, so expansion could even go beyond your home, right? You could consider at some point, if you love this and you want to get your house back, if there's a church site or a recreation center that has an extra room available or something, you could consider becoming a small center. And so if you ever want to think about that, just pull the rules off of OEC's site. They're right there, and you can look and see what the qualifications are, and look and see. Maybe it's something that you're interested in. There are people that are trying to develop micro centers so that homes have another option for expansion. So something like that might be a viable option for you too. So the sky really is the limit. You can take this as far as you want to. So really, if you've been doing this for a long time, shake things up in your brain and in your heart a little bit and see what is it about this that you really, really, really love, and what do you really, really hate? And find a model that like gets you to your sweet spot in between those, okay? Okay, so have you guys all seen this before, the iron triangle? Heard about that? So it's just the basic concept like we're talking about, full enrollment at your full fee collection, right? And making sure that your revenue per child is like where it needs to be. Because if you have full enrollment and you're getting all of your fees and stuff, then your revenue but it's good to kind of figure out what is it per child that you need to make. To figure out that number, you kind of have to know what all of your costs are. And so we're going to go into those next week in depth, right? So, so we can kind of come back to this at a later date, or I just want you to kind of think per child. Because if you think about it, when I tell you 6 kids a year, so that rate, So really, it's kind of the same thing. One child for 5 going into 6 years, going till college, till kindergarten. It's for one child's lifespan in your home, it is going to be right around $68,640, right? Have you thought about that? So stop and think about per child, what are you making for revenue with the lifetime in your home? And if you do decide to switch your model and go to like weekly rates or something where it stays stable and doesn't decline, doesn't go up, any of that sort of stuff, what does that mean in difference for you for that child's span in their time in your home? That's gonna give you a better picture of everything. So if you're not at 100% capacity all the time, you are kind of technically burning money. But for some people, that's perfect, right? Krista, you're not burning money in this picture, can I tell you? Because you have that cliff effect, right? So if you take on another kid, then you're really burning money because it adjusts your whole world, right? So I like that you've already really realized that and you're keeping things in balance for the time being, but we got to get those laws changed so that you can then have the freedom to do what you need to as a business owner. And maybe Angela can do some advocating with different entities in support of that as well from an SBDC perspective, because lots of people are paying attention to this and wanting to know how things are going. So another voice that's different from the industry might be very helpful.
Well, and I think the insurance perspective is a whole nother issue that needs to be addressed because, you know, after leaving the public schools, I mean, in the public schools, I was going to pay $1,600 a month for insurance for me and my 2 children, and I would bring home $2,600 a month. So I would be bringing home $1,000 a month. There's no way, you know? So
Yeah.
if there was some way for us as a cooperative to purchase insurance together, that would make a huge difference for all of us too, I think. And I've heard that time and time again.
So some of the challenge with that is to have that co-op in place in the state, someone has to be willing to take on the risk of it. So some entity, an association or a foundation or something has to be willing to hold half of the monthly premiums, right? They have to be able to cover half of the premiums of everyone in that pool in order for an insurance company to work with them. So we're talking about easily over $1 million that they have to have in hand, set aside just to manage risk. And then if they do that, guess what happens to your cliff? It's right there. You're in it because suddenly you have another insurance option. And it is going to cost more than what you're paying right now for insurance. So they're trying to figure out like how many people are in that situation because no one in the industry wants to throw you over the cliff, right? No one wants to do that. So those are 2 of the main barriers for industry insurance. So if you come up with good solutions for those, let us know. Okay, so benefits, the intangible things that pay you, right, are like for you, Krista, your intangible is insurance and being able to have that at this point. Some people like having their Fridays off, right? Having a lighter day on Friday or no kids on Friday. What is your best intangible that pays you in this industry? Does anyone want to share? No, that's okay. Let's see here. Okay, so let me ask you a question. What happens when you are sick? Do you get paid for it? Yep. I see a couple of heads. I'm not seeing everyone's face, so it's kind of hard for me to get a good gauge of what's happening here.
Sorry, I tried to send a message to the group that I take 3 paid sick days a year and 2 weeks of paid vacation.
Wonderful, Nikki. And how did your parents respond to that? How did they react?
I mean, some people act surprised, but I mean, in the interviews, I mean, sometimes people act surprised. And I'm
So
like,
how do you help them to understand why that's important?
I was like, well, as of like a year ago, I didn't have sick days, but then I was hospitalized 2 days before Christmas, and that was a big problem financially for me and Christmas and not having income. So since
You
that
learned
happened,
you didn't have a choice, right?
right. And so I tell them that I was like, so it was like a very scary financial situation.
Yep, yep.
And then the vacation, I just tell them like I need time with my family away as well.
Yeah. I do know, I know a provider in Weld County that had cancer this past year, and she lived alone. And so she had to, because she didn't have all of these benefits set up for herself, and needed to meet her mortgage and everything else, she had to work the days after chemo. Like on the Mondays after chemo, it was pretty rough for her, right? And fortunately, like my boss totally understood that, and I had downtime, right? So I would go hang out at her house on those rough days a couple times a month and watch the kids while she was taking a nap during nap time, just to get through the afternoon. But what do you do if that's you instead, right? And so you need to think about that. You may need to take some sick time or maximize your income. So, and we'll talk about insurance next week and insurance options that might help in those kinds of situations. Hopefully programs like mine that I'm building will be of a help to people, right? To be able to have someone come in and you go sleep and know that the kids are all safe and secure there. So you really have to think through those things. Vacations, are you guys getting paid for your vacations? Nikki is, which is awesome. Who else is? Krista is.
I get a ridiculous amount of time off because coming from the public schools, when I started this business, I told parents I get all federal holidays. I take 5 weeks of vacation paid a year, and I get 2 weeks of sick or whatever personal time that I need to take to do business stuff. So I get a ridiculous amount of time off, and I thought I was really low for our area, which I know I am low for our area, but according to the charts, I charge a really high rate. But my parents are more than happy to pay the rates that I have and for me to take that vacation time. They're totally okay with it. But I also give my families a week of vacation, and I just added in 3 days of sick time because I want them to keep their sick kids home right now, especially. So I just added in the 3 extra days on top of the 1 week of vacation as well.
Right. So you've found a way to make it a win-win for the families and for yourself as a business, right? Which is fantastic. And based off the amount of time you get off, you now get to teach the rest of this class.
And that's the thing, like I'm very picky with my clients, and my clients have to honor my mental health. I'm a single mom of 4 kids. I have 2 grandkids, same thing. If I ever get sick, that's what I tell families. I need to keep my mental health and my physical health at peak for their children as well as myself. So
well, and as so many providers come into this industry, right, because they have their own children that they're raising in the home as well, right? And unfortunately, what we're seeing in Colorado is a mental health crisis for our kids, right? So I would say that even beyond your mental health, you have to be able to assure your kids' mental health, right? And there are going to be days, I can guarantee you, there are going to be days that you're going to need to close the door to be able to meet one of your own children's mental health needs. Right.
Well, and one of the bonus features of this is my own oldest daughter, who has 2 kids who are one's 1 and one's 3 months old. You know, she has 2 teeny tiny ones, and her mental health is getting supported by me not being full as well, because she can come over with her 2 babies and, you know, take a nap when she needs to, and I get time with my grandbabies. So it's really a win-win.
Nice.
But, you know, that's something that I definitely thought about, not going back to the public schools again.
Well, and I want to tell you guys, we had a situation at the health department in Weld County this past week. We had a single mom who she tested positive for COVID. And so her child could not be in childcare either, right? So she had to go home and isolate for the 10 days. But can a single mom isolate from a young child in her own home? No. So when her 10 days were up, her work was pressuring her to go back to work, right? You have to come back. Your 10 days are up. She's calling us saying, I have to go back because if I don't get paid. And her clock for that child, because the last day of exposure was that last day of the 10 days, that child's 14-day quarantine starts at that point. So technically that mom needed to be home for another 2 weeks in order to make sure that everything was okay. And if the child got to day 14 and then showed symptoms, another 10 days, right? So that's what we're up against with COVID, right? But FMLA was actually extended for COVID. There are COVID benefits for employees. And this is important for you to know, because if you get into a situation like that, you need to be able to stand firm and say, nope, you need to stay home, and have them go back to their HR departments and find out about the FML leave that covers them under COVID. And so I know Sue's got that flyer, so she can get that to you guys as well, so that you can kind of have that information on hand. So it's whether that person is sick or someone in their family is sick, or just that their childcare is closed. They can get up to 3 months of leave in most cases. There are some exceptions. Really small businesses can't really make them if they are dependent on that person. And federal employees, I don't know, they always have different rules. But for the most part, employers have to abide by that. And then they have to pay the employee during those up to 3 months, 2/3 of their income. So they're not going to be completely out. And that's good for you to know as a provider, because then you can stand firm and enforce what you need to from a health perspective. Okay, so let's see here. Grants. It is literally raining right now, right? I mean, it's crazy the different places that money is coming from to assist businesses and to assist you guys. Like we discussed, the collaborative was extremely helpful to a lot of people. OEC has had their update things where if you updated, you got $1,000, just all of the different things that are coming. And as of today, Lisa had sent from the council the HOPE grant that's available to you guys too. And this is a Adams County thing, whoops. And so this is something that they're doing for you as far as a funding opportunity. I'm gonna tell you, like, there's some complication to it. Like you have to do some math in it. And the math that is involves revenue numbers. So they want to know like what your revenue was per month prior to March 1, 2020, subtracting revenue, adding rows, doing all this sort of stuff. Sounds overwhelming, but guess what? You guys can sign up for a consultation with a whole host of people here, and we will help you with these applications so that if you lost money at all during that time, you're going to be able to get funds from this grant. But the bad news is it's a pretty quick turnaround. October 12th is when your application is due. So that is 12 days from now. We're on the 1st, like it's coming, guys. So when Hannah shows you later how to sign up for consultations, you got to sign up with one of us so that we can walk you through the time, space, percentage, whatever it is specifically that you want to do. If you want help with these grants, please let us help you so that you can get some more money coming in.
And just so you all know, Adams County or ECPAC through Adams County wants to give the money away. So I think in there it's worded, you need to be a hardship case, but all that means for this grant is that you have to show that you had a loss in revenue with COVID or an increase of expenses, which could be any of the things you've had to acquire because of COVID. So anyway, just throwing that out there. Don't take it doesn't mean you're living on the street because you're a hardship case.
Or going over the cliff.
It's anybody who has had a decrease in revenue since the beginning of March, or an increase in expenses, which hopefully the team there and we as coaches can help you figure out how to make that look like that.
We're hoping to take a little pressure off the coaches at ECPAC because they've gotten that notice. Like all of the licensed providers in the county have gotten that notice, right? To go to ECPAC for help on this. And it's all talking in terms of revenue, and the verbiage in that is going to be a bit overwhelming for people. So I like Sue as a friend, and so I'd like to keep her around and not get her buried under an avalanche. So that's why I'm encouraging you guys to tap into the consultants here so that we can help you with this and keep a little bit of just a little pressure off of Sue and Nicole and the coaches there. So questions, concerns? So
I have a question.
Okay, what's up?
Yes, I was like, you were saying about the COVID. Since I think was the second week of August, March to April, the end of April, I only had one child. And my families, I did something me and my friend come out with, we didn't charge the full rate because we did feel like it was nobody's fault.
Right.
So I did work with my parents, and that I told them you don't have to pay the full rate. Just pay $50 a week, so I will hold the spot. We did that.
Okay. Well, then you really need to set up an appointment so we can work with you on how to recoup money. Okay. Because it is literally with this grant as an example, it is raining money right now. And all it takes is filling out the application, and we can help you with that because we know that the terminology in here is a bit overwhelming, right? You guys are here talking about revenue. When have you ever had childcare conversations that involve the term revenue? Like, that's just a foreign language right now, right? So that's why you're here, like building that business vocabulary. So let us take the overwhelm away from this application and give you the support so that we can help you walk through that and you can recoup some money and be able to breathe a little bit again, right? Okay. All right.
What if we were closed? Sorry. So I was closed middle of March until about end of May, but I still received CCAP.
Was it for all of your slots or just some of them?
Some of them.
Well,
So
then
still
there's
lost
a
revenue
that you're still due, right? Or could use. And is there an increase in what you've had to pay for supplies? I mean, all of this is what we need to look at, right? And then on top of that, they also have a whole piece in here about tuition assistance for families. So if you want to be able to help your families out through part of this, there's a section where you can get them help as well.
Okay.
Yeah, tuition assistance piece, it's really valuable to all of you. If you have lowered your rates because you don't think your families can pay, you could get the money to your families or to you through telling them about your families that you lost that money because families couldn't pay, and they could then feel good about themselves because they could reimburse you for the money that they couldn't afford to pay you. and that you were okay with because you wanted to help them out. So think about that piece too as you're doing it.
So it's a pretty amazing thing that's happening right now for the next 12 days in Adams County. And I just encourage you, don't let this go by without being a part of it, okay? All right. Okay, so did I set up a survey for this? Yes, can we do a survey, Hannah, on the food program?
Yes, here.
There she is. So are you utilizing the food program? Yes, I'm currently participating. I used to participate, but I do not now. I'm interested in more information, or I'm not interested in participating. If you could fill that out real quick, we'll see what the results are. And then I'm going to tell you, if you're not a part of it, why it's a good thing to consider doing. I will tell you, as we're waiting on the poll, I quit the food program when I was a provider because of an emotional reason. Like, this woman came to my house and she came at the time that she wasn't supposed to come because she knew I was doing school pickups, and she acted frustrated with me and I was frustrated with her. And then I decided, I don't need this. It's too much of a hassle. I'm not doing it, right? And so I quit. And now that I know what I know, I'm thinking, man, I made a bad business decision for myself. And so I'll show you those numbers here right after the poll.
Right, here are results.
Wonderful. So 73% of you are participating. 18% used to, but do not now. And 9% that are not participating. So really we have like 27% that are not, or not interested, or whatever. So someone throw out for me why a reason would be to not participate.
Seems like a lot of work for a little amount of money.
Okay, so my thing about that is I kept running into providers in Weld County, right, that were having issues, like they're saying, I'm not making enough money. I feel like I need to go work an extra job, right? I need to go work part-time at night just to kind of make ends meet right now. So they would tell me that, and then I'd say, are you on the food program? And they'd go, oh no, it's not worth it. So I want you to see with the reimbursement levels here, I've got on the top, it's tier 2, and on the bottom, it's tier 1 levels, right? So so if you're in a tier 2 area, then for the number of children, had $218 a day. So this is the lower rate, right, of reimbursement. So I've got increments of $1,000. So that's right here, 1,133. So the increments, it's 1.1 increments of $1,000. The average amount of money that you get to keep for after taxes, so with that $1,000, you're going to pay taxes. And of that, you get to keep $650, right, per. So total additional amount of income a year is $715. So if you were to look at that as a part-time job, maybe 3 hours a week for 52 weeks, that's 156 hours, then you're making like $458 an hour. And that's, and after taxes, so that's like monthly going to be about $60 a month additional to what you're making. Now, my question is, does it really take you 3 hours to do the food program a week? No, not even close, right? I mean, I'm being really, really generous with this. Like in the very beginning, if you're trying to figure everything out and like mapping out meals and doing all of the really hard work up front, then it might hit the 3 hours a week. But really, so if you've got 6 kids in your care, your monthly average benefit after taxes is $184 a month. And so Tom Copeland will tell you join the food program. Now, if you're tier 1 reimbursement levels, that number actually goes up to $385. And at that 3 hours a week rate, you're getting paid almost $30 an hour for that. And we already established it doesn't really take 3 hours, right? So just think about that. It's another place where it's easy to like let money kind of slide by, right? Okay, that's all I'm saying about that. If you need help like connecting with people, we can help you with that. CCAP. Now I know Penny's having a bad experience, but I'm gonna talk to you about CCAP, okay? So currently the rates for CCAP, so every October they change. These are the new rates for October till next year. Full-time is on top and part-time is on the bottom. And as you see, as your level goes up, your rate goes up. Really, if you have a level 4 in Colorado Shines, then that's high enough to get the maximum CCAP reimbursement rate. So I don't know where your rates are at on a daily basis, if 45 is low or high or whatever. But as long as your policies outline, like give those same rates in your policy manual, then CCAP can pay you that rate per day per child. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have questions about that? Okay, so the higher level is really going to pay pretty well for you. Let's see here. So that's putting you at like at a level 4 for an infant, that's $225 a week. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know your rates, so think about that, okay? There are other benefits that come with having a CCAP contract. So if you are working, so these are your base rates for regular Monday through Friday, daytime kind of things. If you decide you want to do evenings, weekends, unusual hours, if you wanted, you could close during the day and just do overnight if you could find enough clients for that, and specialize in overnight care as long as you follow the licensing rules and sleep on the same level and all of that sort of stuff. If you go to the state, if you just Google Colorado CCAP rates, it's going to take you to OEC's website and they'll give you a link and then it'll take you to a place where you can find county rate packets for every county in the state. It's important to know where those are located because this the next screen shows you the difference in rates between Adams County and Weld County. That's a pretty significant difference, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, there's some ages. Once they get up to the older ages, it kind of evens out. But even for like full-time level 4 school-age kids, $40 a day versus $35.75. So do you want to give up the difference in that each week just because of the county? Now, I know that you do care based off of the kids that are kind of in front of you and who need care. But if you live on the border of Weld County, and I challenge you, if you live close to any other counties, right, go and look at those rate packets and find out what are the rates in that area, because you may find like, you need to know for your area, like if you're gonna have families from Jefferson County or Boulder County or any of these others that are kind of passing through to go to work, what would it look like for them if you were taking CCAP from that county? And you have to decide for yourself, like, are you good with those rates, all of those rates? Or are some of the counties the ones you're like, not sure I wanna do that? You get to decide those things, but it's better if you know it in advance, right? And kind of check in once a year and compare those and see where they're at. They're going to adjust their rates based off of what the demand is and everything else. So, and what availability of care is. And so if they get a lot of pushback from providers in terms of like, I'm not doing care for whatever county because I don't like the rates, then they have to go back and kind of figure that out. And if that means they have to raise their rates a little bit, then they are likely to do that. No, it's not an easy system to work with, is it, Penny? It is not. But Sue's doing a heck of a job building relationships with, she is. She's doing a great job advocating for you guys and trying to build some bridges there and work well together so that she can help with any kind of issues that come up. So that looks like a very forced smile, but we'll go with it. So,
do you recommend having multiple contracts with multiple counties?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
If you think it's likely that you might have families from that county, it's a good idea to just get that set up in advance. Those contracts are good for 3 years. So there's no harm in setting it up that way. And then it just makes it easy for you. Makes it easier to serve those families and get started right away. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. The other thing is, like, really, if you're struggling and you can't, like, usually providers say, oh, I have a long wait list, I don't need CCAP. Well, suddenly things are a little weird, right? And if you find you're in a place where you're like, I really kind of need kids and I have to take the risk of bringing kids in, and so I'm kind of in that financial place where I want to do that, but now I have to find them. It's really nice to work with counties and see, like, do you have anyone available? Because here's the thing, serving CCAP kids and serving CCAP kids is about making a difference for those kids and for those families, right? There's a deeper thing behind what you're doing. And so if you can put on your service hat and think about it from that perspective, you have the ability to step into that family's world and make a difference for them so that they can actually go to work now, when before you called, they couldn't do that. So that's a powerful, wonderful thing. And I'm sorry, people that say, oh, well, CCAP kids are really hard to take care of, that's just not true, right? And here's the reality. CCAP is something that a lot of your families may very well qualify for. So if you see that your families are struggling, look at those numbers. And if they fall within those parameters, if they fall below that number, you would be making a huge difference for them if you encourage them to apply for CCAP. Because then a lot of their tuition gets to be set aside, right? They don't all of a sudden have to pay this bill for that. They only have to pay their parent fees. And suddenly they, as a family, can breathe a little bit better. I mean, the reality is all of our families kind of need, like, every once in a while, every family needs some help, right? And so to offer that is a huge thing. I'm reading here. Let's see, Sue put in a comment, monthly income. Sue, speak, what?
I was just trying to clarify that's monthly income.
Okay. Oh, yeah, perfect. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so, and here's the thing. Do families always accept care very easily? Like that kind of help? Sometimes pride is there, right? And someone feels, I mean, I remember the first time I had to go to a food bank, and I know for me emotionally what that did for me with me and my family. So someone looking me in the face and going, hey, go to the food bank, probably wouldn't have felt very good, right? So if you think that a family might qualify, get creative. Like if they're not hearing you or they're not, you could send a stack of papers home and put some information in there about CCAP in the stack of papers so they could review that at home. You could say, hey, we're all struggling. If you have old jackets, kids' jackets, bring them in and we'll trade them up with the other kids. And then in the pockets, you could put cards to food banks and CCAP information or whatever, right? Like whatever it takes to make sure that they get that and can hear that. And if you're already set up as a CCAP provider, then all the better, right? Like then you're equipped to already do that with them and make a difference. So there's my social work side coming out. So sorry for the, okay. Quality ratings. Ooh, we gotta get moving here. We're almost to the end, but we gotta move a little faster. So quality ratings and why they matter. I know lots of people say they don't matter. We see with CCAP rates that they absolutely do. It's another place where you actually get to step into that rain, right? And have it rain a little bit on you because you get a lot of cool supplies for your environment. You have wonderful people like Sue that go on the computer now and coach you, you know, and bring you like the most up-to-date research and the things that are happening and ideas on how to handle situations and all of that. And it gives you the opportunity to be a little bit different from the other programs around you. I will tell you the environments I've stepped into where they've actually rated and stuff, they've considered it a blessing because their environments are so different now. And they didn't have to come up with that and create that themselves. The funds from quality improvement grants actually made that possible for them. And so I encourage you, instead of thinking of it from a perspective of like, what a hassle, what do I have to do now? Think about the blessing for your children that you're providing care for. If they get an opportunity to have a really amazing, I mean, I'm not saying your program's not amazing, but if you can tweak some things in your program and add some really cool features and some opportunities for them to learn, why wouldn't you do that, right? Okay, keep moving. So also something to think about, okay? So if you are doing CCAP, for instance, where it does have a financial difference for you, what if you increased your rating and that increase that you receive for children, what if you took that money and actually put it into a retirement fund? Something to think about. And we'll tell you about the provider town hall another time. It's coming up on the 10th. So Sue, are you guys gonna send out a notice about that if I get you a flyer?
Sure.
Okay, there we go. We took care of that. So quality does count, and here's the counts in Adams County. They did a study last year, and as far as family child care homes, there were, as of April of 2019, 103 that were at a level 1, 30 that were at a level 2. Can I just say, to be a level 2, all you have to do is fill out some stuff on the computer, like seriously. Level 3 through 5, 7 providers in homes, 7 people that have tapped into funds. And so they're getting lots of money for their programs because they decided to step out and do something different. Think about it. Talk to Sue and get some more information about it. She can tell you what that can do for you in your program. Credentials. We don't have
I'm
to
a
go
level
in.
5. I gotta tell you, it has helped me out tremendously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it not only helps me out receiving clients because they put you at the top of the list. So I get clients quicker. They recognize the ratings or they question the ratings because they're not sure what it is. And then I just explain that with my credentials. And yeah, and I think being a level 5 has totally changed my whole business itself in the last 4.
And at the town hall that we're going to do on the 10th, we're actually going to ask OEC to do the marketing campaign for Colorado Shines that they promised in the beginning. So we're going to challenge them to do that. Okay. Credentials, we don't have to go into that so much tonight, but it's another way for you to stand out and for you to build your professional profile for yourself. And if they do the tax credit laws that they were trying to do that were bad wording and then COVID came and all of that, they still intend to do those tax credits down the line. And when they do, one of the requirements will be a credential, and we can work with you on that as well. That's not all that difficult really. So Yeah, let's see here. Sorry. Okay, so get you guys moved here. The other thing is next week we'll talk about insurance, right? Protect what you build. This whole thing, this excitement that you feel inside on like tweaking things and modifying them and making them into what you want. Why would you build something and put it on sand, right? Especially in a place that can flood. So I'm asking you not to put your business on sand, put it on a solid foundation. Last week you heard about business structure, and I know some people think that it doesn't really matter that much, but all it takes is one person to fall in your front yard and turn around and sue you, and for your insurance company to go, phew, you know, because in that lawsuit they say, well, you knew that you were supposed to be out there shoveling and you didn't do it, so you intentionally caused harm to me. Then all of a sudden it's not just an insurance issue, right? Because insurance is going to cover some, but they're going to say, you didn't take care of your property. Like, we don't all owe all of this, you owe this. Or if someone decides to sue you directly and it doesn't even involve insurance, if they do that and you don't have an LLC, you can lose your home. You can lose everything. And so when John said it feels like we're pushing towards an LLC, that's the reason why. And so that's something else, another reason to hook up with the consultants here so that we can help you figure out for sure, how do you keep things safe and structured for your business? What you build, keep it intact. Don't let things come sweep it away. Your policies and procedures are important because you establish everything, all your rules, your financial processes, all of that. Make sure that you keep those and you enforce those. Insurance, we'll talk next week. And like I said, retirement, really think about retirement too. So that's it for me. Let's see, stop share. And you guys are still awake, so that's a good sign.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dawn. Yeah, if any of you have any follow-up questions for Dawn, you did a great advertisement for our consulting. It was like watching a YouTube video with the ads that came up. I was like, thank you. And we will be uploading this, the PowerPoint onto Claromentis. We're also going to be emailing to you for those of you who might not be accessing the learning management system. We'll do it both ways. So you'll get those CCAP rates. You'll get all of the data that's in there. So in the presentation. So fantastic job, Dawn. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we've got about 9 minutes, and I want to just share with you all a tool that we've developed, and this is a beta test. It is, and we want you all to try it out. So, you know, if you guys have filled out your taxes on TurboTax, where at the top of the ribbon you make a change for a deduction or something, and then it shows you either your tax back or you owe this. We've developed a tool that's similar for your revenues. So we've created this spreadsheet that you plug in your quality rating, your rates for full-time and part-time, the number of kiddos that you have, and this spreadsheet is going to run the calculations and show what your monthly income is. It also includes the food program and grants. So nearly all of the potential revenues, and you can't break this spreadsheet, you can go in and plug in where you are now, and then you can play around with how much is going on the food program really gonna affect my gross income every month. Now it's not going to cover every single situation that you all have, and it's not going to look at your tax savings, but it'll give you some ideas of, you know what, that's actually not going to benefit my bottom line as much as I thought, but boy, if I add this one part-time infant, that's really going to put me to where I want to be in terms of my monthly income. So I'm just going to really quick, because I want you guys out by 8. I want to just show you what this calculator is, and we're going to email one to all of you for you to play with it. We would love for you to work with one of us in looking at the calculator, playing around with it. We can modify it if it's a one-on-one session, or you guys can too. You can't have access to the formulas, but you're building out a functional budget and forecasting tool by just plugging in your numbers here. So by the end of the course, we're going to do the same thing with expenses, so that by the end, it's going to be easy, relatively easy for you guys to fill out these grant applications, where they're going to want to know what's your net income, and you're going to have done that time and space calculation. So your overhead, you're going to know if you're at 25%, that you can put that 25% toward your mortgage interest, and that can be a deduction for you. So this groundwork, this foundation that's solid and not on sand, you guys, is really gonna help you in being able to respond to those opportunities as they come up. So let me just share my screen really quick here and just show you how this works. Are you guys seeing it? No?
Yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay. So basically, this is the little TurboTax, net monthly income. All you need to do is go in and enter your data here. So what is your quality rating, 1 through 5? What is your weekly rate for full-time care? And again, this isn't going to apply like Tammy doing, all different rates on part-time, but just approximate here what your rates are for different age groups, daily rate for part-time, plug those in. If you have a grant, what's the total dollar amount? And then when does that grant expire? We've broken that out into a month, what your monthly income. And then this is where it's a little bit of work, but we want you to go through each of your kiddos, and just all you have to do is say, are they in this particular age category? Put a 1, put a 1 here for the second child. If it's part-time, put the average days per month in the right column. Is the child in CCAP? Yes, no. Is the child in the food program? Tier 1, yes. Tier 1, Tier 2, yes. And here is where all of your revenues are going to get added up, and you'll be able to see, like, for example, this in this example, we had just going from a 1 to a 3 boost your income. Now this is a crazy example because it's got a huge grant in there, but look at what just going from a 2 to 3 increased it by $100 a month. Going to a 4, it's going to do it another $100 a month. But it's an opportunity for you guys to really get in the sandbox and play around with your revenues and see what kind of changes you can make to get to where you want to be. So we will send this out to each of you, and hopefully that'll be really helpful, and and start with where you want to be for your monthly revenue, and then work into, well, I wonder how I can craft that so it fits my values and my business. So that's basically your homework for this week, you guys, is book a session with one of us. You can just email us. Hannah's going to show you how to go online to do it. Dawn has made herself totally available, and like all day Saturday, I think you have. I'm available after 5:30, but we really want to be getting in and helping you guys individually with your specific situation. Hannah, do you want to? We've got 3 minutes. Can you quickly show them how to book a session?
Yes, it will take maybe only 1 minute. Well, that might be not true, but yes, we will show screen. All right, are you seeing the screen here?
Yeah.
Great. So this the URL up here is it is specific to Dawn for our example here. Dawn is our child care consultant, so we would definitely recommend that. I will also show you how to make an appointment with our other SBDC consultants if you'd prefer to do that. But so to get this link, we can put that in an email that goes out to everyone. So everyone will have direct access to this. And this first step here is to choose your appointment. So you can see days and times available here. So say we wanted to choose a time that worked for your schedule, you would then continue. It takes you to the second step where you would put in your information here. And then when you complete appointment, it's all scheduled and it sends you an email with the confirmation details. Also, you can add it to any of your calendars here. So it's as easy as that when you have this direct link. If you were to go and do it from our website, if you had a question specifically, you know,
and just that quickly, I get a notice.
Yes, yeah, and Dawn also gets a notice about that. That's great. If you had more tax specific questions, like we met Lauren last week, well, she's actually not on our website because she is a specialist as well. So if you want to get connected with Lauren, you can also email me and I'm happy to help you get connected. But just to show you this as a resource for our other consultants, this is our website, our homepage that you're seeing here. If you come to consulting, you can request an initial appointment if you have not made an appointment yet, or a follow-up if you have already met with someone. And here it takes you to a similar scheduling page where you would request your initial appointment. And it takes you to the same page where you can see our different consultants here on the side. You will not see Dawn here because, again, she has that direct scheduling link. But we would recommend meeting with Dawn because she is very versed, obviously, in childcare matters. But you're more than welcome to take a look at our other consultants and email me if you're not seeing the calendars for any of them. That might be our specialist consultants. So any questions about scheduling? When in doubt, email me and we'll get you set up.
Yeah, and you guys, it can be as short as 15 minutes, so you don't have to book an hour. So obviously we're really wanting to, you know, to make sure that we're meeting your individual needs as best we can, because this is kind of a complicated process, or just to get it all your, you know, all of these in one place. Some of you already have systems, so, you know, that's awesome, that's great. But for those of you who may want to have a little bit more of an organized bookkeeping process, this is a great start. So are there any questions that any of you have before we let you go tonight?
So Bree had a question in the chat.
1 minute.
So is this the?
Yeah, I see. Is that the survey? Yeah, it came out as a Survey Monkey. Came from Rachel this afternoon, and that's what they're having you fill out the application. It seemed that was the easiest. They thought it was the easiest way for providers just to do it quickly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Time for a football game and chicken wings.
So I have a question, ladies. You guys had a couple different things I wanted to do, set up appointments with, but I don't know who. So I wanted to do the time space management, and I also wanted to do help with the grant. Do you guys know who I would message or set up the appointment through?
I could do that with you.
Person?
I could do that with you.
Perfect. On both of them?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We could just do them at the
when
same
I talk
time.
about my LLC. Oh,
yeah,
good.
we could do that too.
Good. I will go on to the database and find out what your schedule is tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So,
Hannah, we can add all of Saturday morning into the schedule too. I canceled the other thing that I had. So
I'll treasure your friends.
Great. I did just put the direct link to Dawn's calendar in the chat if you want to just copy that, but we can include it in our follow-up emails as well.
Have a great time, guys. Have a good night.
Great.